Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got really just kind of a short little discussion video to share with you guys about MAXAMET steel. My experience with it, what I think people can expect from it. I have quite a bit of experience with MAXAMET. This is my own personal pair of 3 that I've been using for, gosh, like 2 years now. And believe it or not, now I'm not, going out and pounding on my knives every day. I have never actually had to resharpen that. This is a viewer who was sent in, or a viewer's knife, the PM2, SPYDERCO PM2 and MAXAMET that was sent in. To serve as an example of wear over time. But I really want to talk about this steel. I've been promising to do an update video for a while, so we're going to do that today. I will link these knives down below. They are periodically available. There are other knives in SPYDERCO's knife line that are utilizing MAXAMET steel. I will link as many as I can down there so you guys can check it out if you want to. The steel's going to be for some people and not for others. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down below, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. I'm not reviewing the SPYDERCO PM2 and Para 3 today. I have done that. You can check out the reviews. We're really just talking about the steel. So, MAXAMET. What the heck is it? MAXAMET is probably... Now, there are steels that have compositions that boast higher potential edge retention, right? S125V, Rex 121. But they're not incredibly available. In fact, S125V and Rex 121 are basically non-existent. They're also really chippy. No toughness, right? I think both Rex 121 and S125V are stainless, and their compositions yield less than desirable toughness. I mean, it's for people like me who don't go out and pound on their knives, but don't want to be like, I'm only cutting wax paper today, so no reason to be concerned with toughness. No, I use my knives in a wide variety of scenarios, right? So toughness is definitely something that's important to me. MAXAMET probably has the highest potential edge retention if it's heat treated properly, which it's going to be. Right now, SPYDERCO, I think, is the only company using it. Very, very high edge retention and pretty good toughness. In fact, I've found that absolutely to be the case. Not stainless. I'm sure you can tell we have a pretty healthy patina forming on this guy, and mine is also starting to kind of darken up a little bit. I'm out here in Kansas, right? So stainless properties, as far as where I use my knives and the climate out here, they're not the most important thing. The elements that I consider much more important are toughness and ease of sharpening and a decent amount of edge retention, right? But I gotta say, let me tell you the story with this guy. This obviously gets used, and what you're looking at here is the original, whether you believe me or not, you're looking at the original factory edge. I have not sharpened this guy. The only thing I have ever had to do is strop it, which I do periodically. This guy has been resharpened and probably has seen a fair bit of additional use. We're not seeing any... Seeing maybe some dirt. We have maybe a little tiny bit of surface corrosion going on there. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Mine, not so much. Now, I don't go outside, and I'll let you guys get a close-up look at this. I'm not outside, sweating it up and tossing this thing around in water and then coming back inside and just throwing it wherever. I will periodically clean the blade off. I'll add a little bit of lubricant to it, which truthfully I've been using. It's kind of as a combination cleaner and lubricant. I've been using the EDCI and Break Free CLP, which has done a really good job of protecting that MAXAMET blade. Like I said, I'm only doing that once every couple of months. If you live near the ocean, you're going to need to do that much more often. In fact, I wouldn't recommend MAXAMET or really any non-stainless steel at all, but your experience is going to vary. This blade is still, let's get a piece of paper and see what kind of condition it's in right now. I would imagine that, it'll still kind of cut. I don't think it's going to do anything spectacular on camera here. There's maybe an old, there we go. So, this still has some patina, or not patina, but some adhesive and stuff on it from the last stuff that I cut. I wonder if it'll still, will it still slice paper? Kind of, right? It needs to be touched up. You can see that it's still actually wanting to... it's actually still wanting to slice, which is pretty amazing. You can see that there are a couple of hang-ups there. I don't think MAXAMET is going to be the easiest thing in the world to sharpen, but from everything that I've heard, and I have a KME, if you guys are wondering what I sharpen on, I have a KME, which should be linked down in my tools section of the description. And I have some diamond stones and things, basically what would be required to get this thing back to a factory edge or maybe a little bit better. And I will someday, but I'm not so sure that I really need to do that yet. And that's what's so amazing. Every other knife in my collection that I have used has needed resharpening after about a maximum of 6 to 8 months. And if you guys are wondering how often I use my knives, it's like I've always told my audience, I'm a knife reviewer, so people automatically are like, this guy is rolling around in a jungle, he's scaling buildings in a ninja suit, and he's using his knives hardcore every day, firing rocket launchers at the apex of the edge, right? This guy's hard. No, no, I open boxes and letters, and sometimes I'm outside cutting maybe some rope or some harder, like some zip ties or just, you know, whatever's holding the package together to whatever it is that I'm trying to use to complete a home project, right? Little things. I'll cut some sheetrock here and there, just normal things. I'll get my, you know, if I'm EDCing this for the entire week, it might get used anywhere from 3 to 15 times total, right? So, 2 years or so, this was an anniversary gift from my wife back in 2019, 18, something like that. Maybe it's been longer than 2 years. I can't remember. Yeah, so, you know, getting this thing out and using it 3 to 15 times a week, depending on how often I'm carrying it, is impressive, kind of, but it's going to vary from person to person. This one has obviously been carried and used a lot more, and you can tell that the edge has been redone, right? You can see those 2 lines there where they sharpened it, and maybe they used it hard. Maybe this thing has been around for 2 years, and maybe it just recently needed resharpening. I don't know. But I can tell you, no matter where you live and no matter how much you take care of these MAXAMET blades, they're going to end up looking kind of like this. With this, you can see this darker and lighter. Some of this is adhesive, but you're going to get this darker and lighter hue. It's probably going to end, especially if you live in an area where corrosion is more of a problem or you're not cleaning it off as much, which I'm not going to say that this is necessarily a problem. There's nothing wrong with you know, the patina on this. It's probably going to look somewhere between, you know, these two. You still need to clean it. If you're thinking about buying MAXAMET, it's not like if you just leave it alone and never clean it, this is the worst that's going to happen to it. No, you definitely do. The best case scenario is that it's just a light patina. But you definitely need to be, you know, if it's wet or muddy or if you have it in a sweaty pocket all day, you need to get it out, clean that stuff off of there, right? You need to get some oil on there, rub it in. What I do, if you guys want to know, right? So I'll give you, actually, let's go ahead and clean this on camera. Just kind of show you guys what I do when I clean my blades, right? We'll give it a couple of sprays here. Right? People are going to be like, that's too much. You're actually supposed to use only 1 1/4 spray. I do not care about the technical part of how much or how little I'm supposed to be using on these blades. Sometimes I find, especially if it's, you know, like some adhesive, you're really going to have to kind of work at it, and that might require a little bit more than what I'm willing to do in this video. So we'll get a reasonable amount of that crap off of there, and we'll just kind of proceed. In fact, it might be easier if I pause the video. Okay, we're back, and that did a decent job. Now, I understand that, of course, you know, there's a difference between, you know, what's meant to actually clean the blade and what's meant to actually lubricate it, and both of these will kind of do a little bit of both, though I've found that the break free is really good at getting the rest of the really, you can see there's a little bit under there that's not wanting to come off. It's really good at getting like the stubborn stuff off of there. But either way, when I'm cleaning or lubricating, this is kind of what I do, right? And again, you can go down in the comment section and you can see people are telling, you know, me that the way that I'm doing this is incorrect, and there's only a certain amount I should be using, and there's a particular hand motion when you're, you know, cleaning the blade. I don't care. You can kind of, there's a million ways to do this. The idea here is to get a healthy amount of lubricant and protectant on the blade, and then to clean it off. So we can see what this knife actually looks like underneath. A lot less of the discoloration is patina, and a lot more of it was just stuff that was stuck to the blade. You can see I mean, the contrast, you can see the actual patina is really only up here. This is the product of carrying this knife quite often, right? I mean, you can go back and watch my videos about, you know, my top 10 or my top 5 most carried knives dating back to when I originally got this knife. And it has almost always made the list. It's always in my pocket, right? So carrying this thing all the time and using it anywhere from light to medium this is the result that it yields, right? Now this guy, I clean it off. You're still going to have these darkened areas up here. You can tell that's patina, right? That's going to stay there. So your situation might end up like mine, or it might end up like this, right? It just depends on how often you're using it and what you're using it for. But one thing that will be consistent, I'm going to guess with the vast majority of you, is the insane edge retention, and it is backed up by the excess toughness that you get with MAXAMET that you don't usually get with other steels boasting the same or slightly higher potential edge retention. The edge stability is amazing. You can see, I mean, you saw me slice that paper, was still wanting to do it, and I have a feeling if I strop this guy a little bit, which we can do. This is from USA Made Blade. I need to actually move this back off. Sorry, I need to get it to the edge of the table because the handle's causing a problem there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Talk a little bit while we're doing this. But I would venture to guess that after I strop this for a little bit, and you know, I'm not a professional like knife person. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly how many strops it's going to need because you know the damage to the edge is going to vary from person to person over any amount of time. But I like to go anywhere from 25 to 50 strops per side after it feels like the edge is not quite doing what it used to do. We're almost done here. We'll just do 20 per side and see how that does, just to see if my theory is correct about this, because this is all the maintenance that my knives generally require. Okay, so now we have the edge stropped. You can see there we are still, that's a factory SPYDERCO edge, absolutely. So let's feel. Yeah, it feels pretty clean. Now at some point it will need to be sharpened, right? This is not going to be a fix-all for everything. But can I go back to using it? Yeah, there's the hang up right there a little bit, but you can see we're slicing a little bit better. It's okay. I mean, legitimately is okay. And here's the kind of cut we're getting. At this point in its life, it's less of a cut. I mean, it's okay. You can see there's little snag marks in there. So some additional stropping might get whatever that is, whatever little tooth is still in there. Maybe another 100 per side or another 50 per side, not necessarily 100, but that's all I've been doing with this stuff. And it doesn't need it that often. I'll strop this stuff as far as how often I'm using it. I'll strop it something like once every couple of months, once every 3 months, right? And it just keeps on going. That is the case with a lot of steels. I found that to be the case with 20 CV, but you know, like my 20 CV blades, even my M4 blades with fairly similar edge retention to M390, but better toughness. I found that the edge stability of the toughness levels in M4 will, like stropping and continue to use it, it'll last longer. I mean, as far as like time between actually needing sharpening, lasts a little longer than some of my M390 blades. Even those blades will really need to be resharpened after, you know, a maximum of like 9 months to a year, and I'm just estimating. I have so many knives that I use on rotation, it's hard to guess, right? But this is still going. MAXAMET is unreal, and we got a little piece of paper up there, you know, but if I can give you guys a close-up of the edge. Let me drag this across the leather so we're not getting false looking rolls or nicks or anything. Can we zoom up a little bit maybe? Would that be more helpful for you guys? Let you guys take a look at the edge here. This is truthfully a factory edge that has just been stropped over multiple years. Light use, of course. If you're going to go out and beat on your knives, really hard, even the tip, right? If you're going to go out and beat on your knives really hard, we need to go back to a 1. If you're going to go out and beat on your knives really hard, obviously if you take MAXAMET and drag it across the concrete, well then yeah, it'll probably dull it pretty quickly, right? So it depends on your circumstance, but I am so impressed with MAXAMET. At this point, honestly, at this point in the life of this knife, no matter how hard it is to resharpen that blade, once it finally gets to the point where stropping is no longer gonna keep it healthy, I don't care. If it takes me 2 hours or even 3 hours to put an edge back on it, I don't care. The thing lasted me in my cutting habits, my EDC habits, right? It's lasted over 2 years at this point. So yeah, and I mean, again, out in Kansas, if you have a similar climate, then, you know, if you, every 2 months, 1 month, 2 months, you lubricate it and clean it off, you're going to be okay. With I would also advise, pulling the pivot out, moving this sort of, with the lanyard barrel Spydercos, you kind of have to scissor the knives open. And, cleaning out the internals, using some lubrication and some protectant inside of there as well, because that's a place where moisture can get trapped, and you don't want moisture getting trapped on top of this. So I will, when I clean these off, when I do a real maintenance, and it only takes about 10 minutes, but I do take the pivot out, pull the knife apart, get some lubricant in there. And also, if you're wondering, what do you use to make it smooth? Yeah, your 10-weight nano oil, which is also linked down there. That's also a good idea. This is an expensive Spyderco. So is the PM2. I think they're well over $200 now in MAXAMET. It's expensive, but man, I've been impressed with MAXAMET steel. So impressed. Now you can get some less expensive Spydercos, slightly less expensive. I think the Manix 2 lightweight in MAXAMET is a little less. What is it, 160 to 180, something like that. It's expensive stuff. For the money, you can absolutely, if you're looking at like knives in G10 and various steels, a really, really good, a totally reasonable EDC knife can be had for half the price or even less. I don't particularly enjoy sitting down for a long period of time and sharpening my knives. It does not bother me to sit down. People are going to say, you need more compound on your strop. Probably. I'm kind of a whatever, right, just get it done and get going kind of guy with my knives, as I'm sure a lot of you are. If you're like me and you have anywhere from minimal to medium use required of your EDC knives, and you live in a climate that's similar to Kansas, and you don't mind adding a little bit of oil or stropping periodically, MAXAMET will last you a very, very long time. I cannot believe how long this stuff actually lasts. So, downside. Again, people who live in environments where corrosion is an issue, this isn't going to be for you, right? This isn't a set it and forget it kind of. It's not like LC200N where you can sweat all day all over it and it's not really going to matter, right? So the steel is going to make sense for some people and not for others. There is no perfect answer to this. I know a lot of you guys are, seeking out a video on YouTube to tell you what the perfect steel is. And unfortunately, you don't have to take my word for it. Unfortunately, there is no perfect steel. There is no perfect blade material. Maybe in the future, but as of right now, there isn't. Composition is a multi-directional teeter-totter, and all of us use our tools, our instrumental catalysts. Is that redundant? Instrumental cutting catalysts? In an infinite number of ways, in an infinite number of circumstances, and there are an infinite number of variables. So there is no way for anybody to tell you what is absolutely the best in any given circumstance. In my experience, MAXAMET has been fantastic. In fact, it's really exceeded my expectations in terms of corrosion resistance. The Para 3, that coupled with the Para 3, it's just been phenomenal. So, can I recommend MAXAMET steel now after 2 years? Yeah. Yeah, take care of it, but it'll be worth it. I hope that you guys got the information that you wanted from this video, right? It wasn't super duper in-depth, not super duper scientific. Honestly, if you want that type of information, you should head over to Knife Steel Nerds, Larry Thomas, that type of scientific breakdown with the composition and potential performance. You're going to want to get that stuff from an actual metallurgist and not a simple knife reviewer. So, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was at least mildly entertaining. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.